Good morning. So today I want to talk about, don't worry, I've got my dog right here. I want to talk about how to teach an in-person class. So I've done trainings that are very similar to this, but I think it's something so good to always just go over and just, refresh yourself on teaching in-person classes, especially because I know that recently we have not been able to do in-person events nearly as much. And I think that we're getting really close to the point where we're going to be able to do more in-person things. So my first tip for how to teach an in-person class is to have a class. So set something up, and you can do a variety of different classes. I don't want anyone to ever think that it has to be exactly the same thing every time. Like, it doesn't have to be a 101 class. It doesn't even have to be a make and take. Like, it can be whatever you feel comfortable teaching. So I'm all about picking a time for a class. So set a date to have an in-person event. And you could even do it outside, because we're getting to the time of year where it's really nice weather, unless you live in Arizona, and now you're getting to the time of year where it's hot weather. But you could host an in-person event that's outside. And you can I'm always a huge advocate of really simple in-person events. I'll never forget the time that my mother-in-law did a class that she's an artist. First of all, she created like a little coloring book for the kids, like with hand drawn art pages. And it was really stressful for her, and then she spent several $100s on food. It was insane. And I was like, Becky, you don't need to do anywhere near this, and of course, if I asked her to host a class again, she was probably like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do anything like that again. That was crazy, So I'm always a big advocate of doing something simple. So if you want to have a dessert, that's great, but maybe do one of my biggest things that I love to have people do is peppermint brownies, because anybody can go buy a box of gluten-free or regular brownies or whatever, and just add some peppermint to it. And super simple. It allows people to experience the oils, and it's super great. And you could even just have some water that you could add some lime or orange or grapefruit or lemon or whatever to. So, keep it super, super simple. And the other benefit of keeping a class simple is that you want people to attend your class and feel like, oh, I could do an in-person event. Like, this wouldn't be overwhelming. It's not like I have to do this huge production. So those are just some really simple upfront tips about hosting a class. The next thing is I like to make a list. I always love to have like 5 to 10 people in my class. It seems nice to have a huge class, but it can be overwhelming, because if you have a lot of people there at the end, when you try to help people get their kits ordered, you have a lot of people waiting, and sometimes they're like, oh, I'm just going to leave, I'll talk to you later. And then they might lose interest. So I like a class of like 5 to 10 people is perfect for me. So I like to make a list. Like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a class on cleaning. And I know a couple of people that would love this. So I make a list of like maybe 20 people, because realize not everybody's going to come to your class. So I like to create a list of who I want to invite. And then I like to invite people to my class like 7 to 10 days ahead of time. And I like to invite them in person. I have way better turnout if I will invite them in person, because if I try to invite them online, people get invited to things online all the time. And I think it's like easy to say no to online events, right? So if you can invite them in person, because it's an in-person event, it just makes it more personable. And I've even done things where I've said, hey, there'll be a free gift if you come. So those are just some tips for setting up your class, inviting, and, just the logistics of a class. I have found that evening times typically work best, like 7 o'clock. Do what works best for you, but I find that usually works well, because people have had a chance to get home from work and eat dinner. And then you can just keep your class really simple and short. I'm all about keeping it 30 to 60 minutes. And what I love to do is I love to go over the simple solutions handout. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right. So we are going to go to doTERRA Natural Solutions. And I've showed you guys this many times. Well, if you've been on one of my trainings before, you've seen me talk about the natural solutions. Oh, let me call the handout. And this is honestly how I find anything, because I just Google it. So I love to just go through this natural solutions handout at a class. So when I'm doing a class, if I'm hosting it, I just welcome everybody, thank them for coming. And, I always like to remind them a couple days before and then a couple hours before, see you at noon. And just as a reminder, you'll want to park on my driveway, because if you park on my street, you'll get a ticket. This is a true story for me, actually. It's a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. So I always like to give people like a little, it's almost like I have an excuse for texting them, like, oh yeah, just, park on the left side of the street or come in the side door or whatever. And then when I host my class, I love to keep it simple. Again, I'm all about simple. So what I like to do is I like to have a handout for anybody who shows up. So you can, if you're doing lots of classes, you can actually print out this little brochure and you can laminate it and use it over and over and over. If you're just doing it occasionally, you can buy these brochures and just give one to everybody at the class. But I like them to have some material to go through. At the class, I just go over this handout. I like to make sure that I'm adding in my own information, because obviously you don't want to just read from the handout because people can read. So I like to go through my own experiences. So for example, I'll just say, you have choices. You can use the modern approach or the natural approach. So here's the deal. I absolutely love essential oils. I love them. But for me personally, I thrive on certain medications for anxieties. Like I really need that. And then the oils do an incredible job of filling in the rest of the gaps, like, so that I'm just in a really great place. So if I can use something natural, I'm all about that. But, for example, if I am on a medication, it can cause side effects and it can cause issues. And so I like to use natural things as much as possible. So that's just an example of giving like a personal story, when you're talking about modern versus natural. And I always like to put people at ease that I don't think they're terrible if they go see a doctor, because I don't want anyone feeling like they have to keep secrets like, oh, I love my doctor or I trust their opinion. Of course you do. But there is benefit to natural approach for sure. You don't have to worry about side effects. It's a lot less expensive. There's not a medication that I get excited about taking because I always worry, what are the side effects of this going to be? So the point is, share your personal stories along the way, but keep it simple and short. I love for people to have a chance to experience the oils in the class. So one thing I love to do is have some wild orange and peppermint that I can just put right into their hands. They can rub them together. They can smell their hands, and they can just experience the benefit of aromatherapy. So I love to get oils on people during the class, just because they have a good experience with them. So I always give people a chance to experience something aromatically, topically. And internally, that would be in the form of, hey, I put peppermint in the brownies, or there's some lemon in the water. If someone wants to try like putting in a drop of On Guard on their tongue, great, but I don't want to overwhelm anybody for sure. So I really like just letting people experience them. And then when I go through and talk about products, I like to pick like 5 to 7 things to talk about. Now, one thing you can do when you're teaching a class is you can ask the people there if they have had a chance to try oils before, or if they have questions about a particular oil, or if they have like a particular health concern or goal that they want to address. And then you can tie that in. Like if someone's like, yeah, I'm really struggling with allergies, you could talk about Breathe. That could be one of the oils you talk about and address how that might help with allergies. So I'm a really big fan of using, doing a little bit of a participant-led class. Like, what do they want to learn more about? Like, what would they want to use their oils for? And I like to show basic things that are fairly universal. I don't really necessarily want to go over what oils that you would use if you have Raynaud's disease, which is poor circulation in your hands and feet. I like to talk about oils that you might use if you have a headache, because, my sister does have Raynaud's, but everybody that I know occasionally gets headache. So I like to pick things that are not going to be like totally random, that people are like, well, that's great, but I don't struggle with that, just things, and just show people how this can just be so beneficial. And I love to tell a personal story or two. And I love to demonstrate how the oils have saved me time, how they've saved me money, or maybe how they've just given me peace of mind when I do a class. And I love for people just to fill out this form, like, okay, what do I want to feel less of? And what do I want to feel more of? And then I love to show them how the oils can help fulfill that for them. So again, I like to keep this class simple and short because I don't want anyone feeling like they have to be here for 2 hours. And then I always love to chat real quick about the lifelong vitality. I am a huge fan of it. And I love for people to just give them a heads up about it. And then they did change their, I always like to make sure I have doTERRA, enrollment. They have changed things so many times, which is great. So when you print off the form for enrollment kits, make sure, first of all, that you want to make sure you're at a doTERRA website. So if it says add on it, let me see if I can even find one. I don't even know if I see one. I was going to teach it. These are all doTERRA official things right here. But sometimes you'll find people's ads. You want to make sure that you're on a doTERRA specific website. So enrollment kits, doTERRA. You also want to make sure it's the US website or US kit form. You don't want to be printing off Canadian enrollment kits because the prices are going to be different and people may not be able to get the same thing. So I like to have a handout with the enrollment kits. And I love to go over like 2 or 3 enrollment kits. And I don't like to go through everything just because I don't want to be overwhelming. But I'll just say, okay, I'm going to show you my 3 favorite options. And, realize that every kit on here is absolutely great. But I think these 3 kits are great. So the first one's going to be the Aroma Essentials. So if you're somebody who is you're maybe not really ready to try the oils internally or dive all the way in, but you would like to use them aromatically, this is going to be a great kit. You've got On Guard in there, which is going to kill germs. You're going to have a few things in there like Citrus Bloom and Northern Escape that are going to just be uplifting for your mood. You're going to have actually several things in there that are uplifting for your mood and just create like a good environment in your home that's toxin free. Like so cool, right? If you're wanting to dive in a little bit deeper and use them like for therapeutic benefits, like maybe you've got a headache, maybe you've got allergies, maybe you're having, asthma issues, this Home Essentials kit is fabulous. The reason I like it is because the bottles are bigger than the other kit I just showed you. And you're going to get really good basics, but you're also going to get really good mood oils and a fabulous diffuser. So love this kit. And if you're ready to just dive all in, this Natural Solutions kit is fabulous because you're going to get a really good blend of doTERRA's oils and then some of their products. We talked about that Lifelong Vitality. That's in here. You get to try a bunch of different On Guard products, which by the way, are my favorite. And this is just for someone who's ready to just start over in their home and get rid of toxic products and want to just dive in and use things that are a little bit more just safe for your family. So anyway, I go through the handout, give them, and you could pick 2 kits. You could even just say, hey, I really like the Healthy Start kit and I like the Simple Solutions kit. Pick which you feel comfortable sharing with people. Because that's really at the end of the day, what's going to be important is that you feel confident in sharing the oils with people. At the end of the class, I'm always really big on giving people a way to host their own class. I'll just say something like, okay, so if you've been, enjoyed what you've learned today and you may be thinking, hey, my mom, my sister, my neighbor, my friend wants to learn more. I would love to come teach a class for you. And I have a fun little hostess gift. So anyone that wants to teach a class, and we'll make it really simple, would get this gift. So I like to just keep the whole thing very simple. And at the very end, I like to go around and help everybody pick the kit that best meets their needs. So I oftentimes have a little gift for anybody who enrolls that evening, just to help incentivize them to get going. So yeah, doing a class is easier than it may seem. A lot of times people just feel overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is too scary. And, once you dive in and do it, you'll realize I can do this. And your first class may be rough, and that's okay. It's practice is what is going to help you get better and better. And I know that you can have a great event for sure. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to share more tips and tricks with you on hosting, and good luck hosting your class.